Today, I would like to show you why and how we developed an innovative probiotic product that helps reduce the unnecessary use of antibiotics in poultry farming. Antibiotic-resistant bacteria are one of the greatest global health risks. The WHO even describes it as a silent pandemic. In 2021, more than 1 million people died as a direct result of antibiotic-resistant pathogens. By 2050, around 2 million deaths per year are expected, along with economic damage of up to $100 trillion. Now, you may be asking, what does this have to do with animal nutrition? Quite simply, around 73% of all antibiotics used worldwide are administered in livestock farming. The problem is not potential antibiotic residues in the meat, but rather the use of antibiotics itself. The use of antibiotics therefore selects for bacteria that are resistant. They multiply rapidly and can even pass their resistance on to pathogens. The growing problem of antibiotic resistance clearly shows human, animal, and environmental health cannot be viewed in isolation. That is why the WHO helped establish the One Health approach in 2006. If we reduce the use of antibiotics in livestock farming, we protect not only animals, but also people and ecosystems. To contain the problem of resistance, the One Health approach calls for a more responsible use of antibiotics across professional and systemic boundaries. One important point to understand is that the excessive use of antibiotics in livestock farming is not driven by therapeutic applications alone. Rather, antibiotics are often administered prophylactically, or they are used as antibiotic growth promoters to stimulate animal growth. This use was banned across Europe as early as 2006 and has since been restricted in many other countries. Antibiotic growth promoters continue to be used extensively worldwide. Intelligent alternatives are therefore needed. This is precisely where Evonik comes in. The answer lies in a combination of specific capabilities that very few companies possess in this form. We understand biological systems, we understand bacteria, and we understand chickens. From amino acids to the microbiome, our solutions holistically strengthen animal health and performance. We have been active in biotechnology for more than 40 years and have brought corresponding products to market. The combination of systems understanding, biotechnological expertise, and market experience enables us to develop new products such as Ecobiol PRO, which I would like to discuss today. Probiotics are a particularly suitable alternative to antibiotic growth promoters. Probiotics are living microorganisms. When administered in sufficient concentrations, they can improve the health, performance, and resilience of both humans and animals. In the feed sector alone, probiotics generated global sales of around $4 billion in 2025, with market growth of approximately 7% per year. They can be compared to a Swiss Army knife. Through multiple modes of action, they strengthen the gut microbiome and suppress the colonization of pathogenic germs. Evonik has been marketing Ecobiol for several years. It contains spores of the strain Bacillus velezensis CECT 5940. Ecobiol strengthens the gut microbiome and prevents the spread of pathogenic germs such as E. coli, Salmonella, and Clostridia. One pathogen that causes concern for poultry farms worldwide is Clostridium perfringens. It causes subclinical necrotic enteritis, NE. It typically occurs between the 2nd and 5th weeks of life and damages the intestinal wall of the chicken. This impairs growth or leads to premature death, thereby causing global economic losses of $4 to $6 billion every year. To effectively prevent this disease without the preventative use of antibiotics, we need probiotics that are active precisely where the disease develops, in the small intestine. This is precisely what we have achieved with Ecobiol. However, we have now once again made a decisive improvement to our product. Ecobiol PRO germinates much faster in the gut and multiplies there more efficiently than competing products. A study conducted by Oklahoma State University shows an impressive improvement in survival rates and gut integrity with our enhanced Ecobiol PRO. Chickens without contact with the pathogen Clostridium perfringens served as the control group. After 17 days, 100% of them had survived. Among the animals exposed to the pathogen and receiving no probiotic, the survival rate was only 62%. Adding a conventional probiotic to the feed improved survival to 69%. With Ecobiol PRO, a survival rate of 93% was achieved, an improvement of 50%. The intestinal lesions, too, were dramatically reduced with Ecobiol PRO. Ecobiol PRO therefore proves clearly superior, both in terms of survival and disease symptoms. You are probably asking yourself, what is behind this? What is the secret of this improvement? That is what I would like to explain. The foundation of our innovation is that at Evonik we have a deep understanding of living systems. Our systems understanding enables us to explain why germination and multiplication are crucial. To understand this, it helps to look at the extraordinary life cycle of bacilli. When sufficient nutrients are available, the bacterium reproduces like any other through cell division, in this case every 25 minutes. When nutrients become scarce, something remarkable happens. Vegetative cells transform into spores, a robust dormant form. We utilize this process in the fermentative production of the product. Spores are heat-resistant and very robust. They are therefore ideally suited for use in animal feed, as the animal feed is pelleted at 80 degrees Celsius. The chicken ingests the spores with the feed. In the intestine of the chicken, the spores then germinate and outgrow into active vegetative cells. Overall, passage through the gut takes between 3 and 5 hours, depending on the age of the chicken. To understand exactly when and where the spores germinate, we used our unique poultry gut simulation model, known as DAISY. The results show that the spores first enter the crop, where they do not germinate. From there, they pass into the proventriculus and gizzard, where conditions are extremely harsh. A very low pH value and the presence of the digestive enzyme pepsin, the spores survive these conditions without germinating. Germination begins only once the spores reach the small intestine, where the pH is higher because of pancreatic juice. After around 60 minutes, vegetative cells are once again present and can then exert their effect. You may be wondering why germination, the transformation back into active cells, takes place in the small intestine. Quite simply because that is where feed is digested. The decisive impulse is provided by germination triggers, free amino acids such as alanine and sugars that are released during feed digestion. They trigger germination by activating specific receptors on the spore coat. We determined that the production process in particular has an enormous influence on the germination behavior of the spores. We also identified conditions that enable us to produce spores with particularly fast germination. Figuratively speaking, we trained the memory of the spores so that they become active particularly quickly in the intestine. However, feed is not always the same. It differs worldwide from region to region and even between the different developmental stages of the chicken. We therefore tested the germination and multiplication rates of Ecobiol PRO and several competing products in many different feed mixtures from around the world. Ecobiol PRO consistently demonstrated rapid germination and multiplication. All other products germinated and outgrew more slowly or showed greater variation across different feeds. Ecobiol PRO germinates around 46% faster than the average of competing products. This makes our probiotic an important key to healthier and more productive animals, even without the use of antibiotics. Allow me to conclude with a summary. Using the current example of Ecobiol PRO, I have shown you that the scientific understanding of biological systems, the chicken, but also the bacterium, leads to new, high-performance products. Our holistic perspective enables us to develop innovative products with reproducible effects. We were the first to determine that the production process has a substantial influence on product efficiency. At Evonik, we can optimize systems for sustainable, value-adding use because we understand biological systems. However, these findings are important for not only animal nutrition, but also numerous other applications involving bacillus-based products. Whether in human nutrition, personal care, oral hygiene, agricultural products, or cleaning products, the scope of applications is extensive. Thank you very much for your attention.